Hi, this is just specifically for the chicken question. I like the idea of the project. It's going to have to be a specific discussion about just the heating, and I might actually have to visit the chicken farm to do a proper talk with them. If the account's big enough, then probably we can do that at a later stage, not tomorrow or anything, but we can plan towards it. I would like to do it. The reason I'm so interested actually in the heat is I believe that heat is more important than power in the world right now. Not to be going too far off track, but the reality of the planet is that we're going into a very cold cycle, and I can send you more information on that. But basically, every 1 or 2,000 years, we go into a long orbit, and it's the deepest orbit that we do. And during this time, we're the furthest away from the sun. So, actually, right now, the planet is on its strongest tilt, which is around 38 degrees. We don't really want it to tilt much more because it can actually set off a lot of disasters. The problem with having a tilt as well as being on a cold cycle is that we have hotter summers and colder winters. So my background's actually in farming and agriculture. So what's happening is that the farms are going to experience a global El Nino. It's not just one area, it's a global. So it can cause all sorts of problems, but the one main problem that we're worried about is that certain areas of the planet, with or without a polar flip or anything, will have extended winters, and that can stop germination in crops and things like that. So that affects the crop part of things. But we can learn a lot from the people who are in those northern hemispheres that are experiencing those longer winters. And I'm talking to those types of people and explaining to them that, they're doing a lot of things to protect themselves, but actually it might not defrost. So they're starting to realize that that's why people are going to war around the world and things like that are in the north. But for the chicken thing, for the CHP, there's a few different solutions. It's not just one solution. The first thing to sort of identify is that water is the worst choice. The second choice would probably be a saline slurry, so salt water. But in my opinion, the best choice is oil. So it's basically an oil heater. And the reason for that is it allows you to have less fluctuations in the fluid as it's circulating through the farm. So it holds its heat better and won't fluctuate as much. And the other thing about it is it won't freeze. So if you do have a cold snap somewhere, it won't blow up all the pipes. So if you're using water and you do have some extreme event occur, any sort of water heating the pipes will just pop because water expand in the pipes. So I'm not sure if they've had that sort of problem yet, but it can happen. It's coming up soon. So my suggestion would be that the advantage of having a saline or a oil-based circulation system is that you can actually have heat batteries. So we can, in a most simple description, we can have inside the farm or under the farm or next to the farm a series of drums which have a variety of ways to be heated. And those drums can be partially in the wall, inside, outside, or they can be totally inside. And once you heat those drums, they'll hold heat for a long period of time. So we might find that we have a circulation system under the pens, and this is kind of why I have to come and see it in person because there's too many variations. But a lot of greenhouses in Canada, and particularly, what they do is they build the back wall all oil drums, and on the opposite wall, which gets the most sun, they let the sun hit the drums. And so during that 1 or 2 hours where they actually do get sun in the greenhouse, it hits the drums and keeps the greenhouse warm in the night and the rest of the day while it's snowing outside. Now, not many farmers are heating those drums. They don't actually need to add extra heat to the drums because it actually works so well, because the glass actually acts like a magnifying glass on the drums. So the way that we approach the farm circulation system is really the core of it. And the way that we store in a heat battery, which could be a saline solution or a oil solution, or it could even be a mica solution. Mica, it doesn't have to be a wet solution. Mica is a sand, and with a very simple design, it can hold a lot of heat. Like, I don't remember the equation, but it's like thousands of times more heat than an oil drum. So what this means is that you can have a heat battery which is maybe closer to the engines, and then that heat battery is circulating that oil or medium through the farm on a more consistent way than what water does, and it's less likely to freeze and break. And that heat battery may or may not be in the wall of the farm, or can be totally separate and just be using the circulation system if you're a bit worried. And you can also have that heat battery perhaps in a separate greenhouse, so that 50% of the time the sun's heating the drums. And you can control the heat with the flow rate of the oil rather than the heat, because the drums and the heat batteries will be so efficient at holding heat that actually you only need to be controlling the circulation rate. So I think it'd be much safer system. But on my side of things, with the engine, there's a couple of technologies that we have that can heat the drums as well. So you could heat the drums with flame from hydrogen, heat from the sun, circulating hot water through a heat exchange, which is imparting the heat from the water into the oil without mixing. Of course, it's just a pipe, to pipe heat transfer, not, you know what I mean. So it's a heat exchanger. But from our engine side of things, we have 3 technologies which can create heat. One is worst one is the engine hot water. That is the worst one. Just using the heat from the engine to heat water and then have the water heat the oil. It's the worst one, but it works. The next best one is we have a Rankle cycle CHP unit. What that does is the hot water heats refrigerant, which has a very low boiling point. Boiling point's like -20. So it takes a very small amount of water temperature to boil the refrigerant, and then the refrigerant can do work. And the work that it can do is spin a turbine or spin a system to make heat without a flame. And then the other way to do it is you don't have the engine at all, and we use solar or ambient panels, just, the aluminium panels, which are not solar panels. They're aluminium panels with like veins in them. And these aluminium panels are very sensitive to fluctuations in air temperature. So it can be a breeze, it can be at night, it can be like air blowing across it. And because the refrigerant inside is boiling at like -20, you can still make hot water even in the coldest times. So yeah, I mean, it's simple when you know, and it's really just the main part of it. I think the main piece of the puzzle is to stabilize the fluid so that it's actually a heat battery as well as a fluid that doesn't fluctuate and won't burst the pipes in a freezing spell. So I understand the very sensitive nature of the animals. And then, you can control that sensitivity with a heat battery and just a flow rate of the oil. So you overcome a lot of those problems with using water. There's some nightmare examples of why this works. There was a very big project in Australia in Queensland where they spent millions, 100 million, to make a concentrated solar system which boiled water with the sun in a manifold across like 2 acres, and it would go to a steam turbine, right? And on paper it looked great, but it's water, so it didn't hold, it had a lot of different problems, like with gas in the line and steam in the line and corrosion and pressure leaks and not getting the right temperature, big fluctuations, and they went broke. And they went broke because the engineers were using the textbooks. They don't have a brain to do anything else. So they could have easily put a refrigerant in there to create pressure to spin the turbine, and you wouldn't have had any problems. And they could have easily also, in the worst case scenario, at the very least, they could have put an oil in there. But they didn't do that either. And they didn't have any heat batteries, so they had no way to store their heat to magnify the effect. So this is my comments on that. I think it would be an amazing project, but we're going to have some time and opportunity to go visit those people and talk to them about that. As far as the engine goes, the engine can make heat, and I can put a CHP unit on it so the water is hot, and you can use that water. But you really don't want to use that water. You really want to use oil, and you really want to have heat batteries. So whatever heat you make is not directly going to the farm. It's going into heat batteries so that you're holding heat for long periods of time, like days. And then from those heat batteries, you can pull out circulation through the farm. And then you stabilize, then it gives you a lot more areas to stabilize. And then, if the engine's not running or something, you have other options to heat the batteries. You can use flame, you can use sun, and, you're not focused on the pipe heating. You're just worried about keeping your temperature range on your heat batteries, and that you're in that range, then your flow rate's always going to be constant to the farm. The only thing you've got to worry about is the high and low max of the heat batteries. So I don't know if I've explained all that to you. It takes some time to sort of catch on, but if you play this back a few times or save this recording, you'll see that I actually have a few technologies that take this further into different things, like doing work with hydraulics and pressure and stuff. So, but I'm very interested in doing heat projects. I think they're very important, and definitely would love to do some well-funded, high-profile examples of such. So yeah, we can do something. I don't know. We probably want to try to design. Probably need to think about. We probably need to think about this a bit longer together, and we may want to charge a design fee, maybe $30,000 to $100,000 to design that system. Of course, they can just buy the engine and do all the stuff themselves, but I think they wouldn't get what I'm describing. So. I'm Daniel, and this is my family team from Secure Supplies. We have preserved and rebuilt green technologies actively around the world now for over 18 years. The water fueling and gas phase change technologies are changing the way your world's power and gas industries work. Helping you access these technologies is our life mission. Click the subscribe button now to join our technology releases and updates every Monday. And consider buying a ticket to the show by pressing the link in the description. If you would like to see the secrets ahead of time, head over to our Patreon tech training releases every Friday.
Merch updates are ready. If you want to look good in the H2 hot rodding scene, and if you would like to pick up some hydrogen hot rodding merch, now is your chance. Please head over to our hydrogen hot rod shop. The link is in the description. Thanks. Alternatively, you can send me an email or join me on WhatsApp chat. The details are in the description. Let me know which things you like and what sizes you want. Network of home builders is growing very fast. Whether it's a roadster, supercar, or a yacht build, or maybe even an industrial power gas energy project. I'm here to assist and guide you. Please head over to the Consult with Dan link in the description, book a discussion for 10 to 30 minutes, and I will save you decades of study.